Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Techies. This is now Season 2, Episode number 1 for the 5th of October, 2012. And it's been a little bit of time delay since we're bringing The Techies back to you in Season 2, but we are excited to bring back some super exciting stuff. And I'm Vance Willis, and I'm here today with Mark Johnson. So, Mark, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great, thank you, Vance, and I'm delighted to be back here for Series 2 of The Techies. The tech world has seen quite a few things happening, and we haven't been around to cover them, but I'm sure as we go through autumn and winter, we're going to catch up with everything that's been happening and everything that is going to be happening.
Exactly. So we've had a number of things in the last few weeks that's happened in the tech world, one of which is, Apple's had a lot of announcements, and there's even more coming. But one of the most recent things is the iPhone 5. We've heard all of the pros and the cons about the 5. I got one. I don't believe yours has arrived yet, but I think it's in the shipper's hands right now, coming to you. I think. But I really enjoy the phone. It's really great. I upgraded from a 4S, went to the 5, and it's super fast. The camera's great. App switching is very fast. And I just really enjoy having it. But there are a few things about it that there's been a lot of complaints on. We'll touch briefly on those, and then we'll just kind of skip on by it because it's somewhat been beaten to death in the tech world. But so Mark, what do you think? Do you have one on the way?
No, I don't. And I think you and I sort of disagree really about the iPhone 5. So I use this, which is an iPhone 3GS. So that's what, 1, 2, 3, 3 generations old in a big OtterBox case, so I can hurl it off buildings, and it won't get destroyed. Now, unlike a lot of people, I know that I'm different. I tend to use this as a phone, all right, and I don't think that the iPhone 5 is going to allow me to make phone calls any quicker. The only thing that has impressed me, though, was when you demonstrated the camera to me over Skype last week, where you just sat there and you went, and you took about 20 pictures, probably in under a couple of seconds. I mean, very quickly, and that I would like. But I did go into the store. I have had my hands on one. The lady in the store did this great demonstration between the 4S and the 5, and actually the 4S looked better. And I'm sure it isn't. I know it isn't, and all the stats prove that it isn't. It just wasn't a very good demonstration at the time. So I am due an upgrade. But one of the things that has been worrying me is the maps, and it does seem, especially here in the good old UK, which is a little bit behind perhaps, is we have some even in London, the maps covering London are not that great. Where I live down in the country, maybe that you wouldn't expect them to be great. But even the London maps aren't that good.
So yeah, and there's been a number of things about the maps. You can now get Google Maps just yesterday on the 4th of October. Google added Street View to the web version of their Maps web page. So now if you save that onto your iOS 6 device, you can now do Street View and walk through. So essentially, as long as you have an internet connection and it's fast, and that is one thing, Mark, that is very quick about the iPhone. Now, I know you guys are not probably running a lot of LTE right around your area, but I'm going to tell you that the internet speed, I did a speed test, and it's just screaming fast. I was getting 15.8 up and 47 down, and so when you get that kind of speed, which is even more than I have here in the studio, it's really responsive when you're doing things like maps and you're doing Google searches, that kind of stuff. But so I think the map stuff is going to work out. Obviously, Apple had their app; they were polling Google data, and then they continued to have their app on iOS 6. They're now using their own data, and that's where some of the stuff is coming. People say they're just not as good as polling the Google data. But we'll kind of see. I think it's all going to work out. Not a big deal there. Now, the other thing that we've seen some comments and complaints on is the location of the adoption of a new port down on the bottom. You got a 9-pin connector that is called a lightning connector. It's obviously on the bottom like the 30-pin was. The headphone jack is also on the bottom now, and a lot of people are saying, we don't like this. We don't like this new connector. One of the big frustrations of mine, Mark, about this, because I really actually like the lightning connection better than the 30-pin. I don't know if I've even mentioned that to you or not, but I do like the connection. It feels very, very rigid. It's easy to connect. You can flip it one way or the other. And I also personally like the headphone jack at the bottom. Now, you hear a lot of complaints. I will dock this into a car kit that will hold it. I can have my charging cable and my 1/8" jack going into my car stereo. Both of them can be tie strapped together with Velcro. It's very neat. It's very nice. The other thing for me as a male, if you put the phone in your pocket, it's generally in your front pocket unless it's in a shirt. Now, a shirt pocket will turn the phone upside down. But if you put it in one of your pants pockets in the front of your trousers, then it actually has the cord coming in the right direction because your thumb wants to grab it or put it with, the home button in the up position, which makes the cable come out. A lot of arguments, a lot of silly stuff. I like it. Some people don't like it. All I can say is I think it's a worthwhile upgrade. And I think you would agree with me if you get one. So I'll let you, say what you will, but I'm going to tell you I like it. I like it a lot.
I mean, I like the idea. Is it eight? It's an 8-pin, isn't it? Or is it 9? I think it's an 8-pin connector.
It's an 8-pin with a ground. It's an 8-pin with a ground. Some people call it 8, right. and then some people call it 9. Right. Exactly.
I like the idea because you can reverse it. So I mean, one of the problems I've had with the 30-pin connector is you're fumbling around, you're trying to plug it in, and you realize it's around the wrong way. So that goes away. And they also needed to make it smaller as the new phone is a lot thinner. And I think we're going to see thinner and thinner devices. So I can sort of understand that. But what I don't understand really is the pricing of the adapter and the new cables. I mean, I think the adapter over here is £25 to go from the 8-pin or 9-pin to 30-pin, which is a lot for a small adapter. Now, the rumors coming out that actually what the phone does is it automatically changes what's on the pin. So if you need to get video out, you have to tell it, I want video, and then it sort of reassigns the pins to do different things. And if that is the case, that means there must be some intelligence in the adapter. But I think they would have been smart to have had either a low price or a trade-in program. Bring in an old 30-pin cable, and you get half off of the new cable. Because I think that some people, especially when you've got lots of docks, and how many devices have you got that have got 30-pin connectors on? But it's been around for 9 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's been around for 9 years.
And the other thing that I have a little bit of problem with is the availability. I mean, you can't even walk into the Apple Store and buy extra cables or the 30-pin to 8 or 9-pin adapter, which is a little bit of a pain because, like you say, I mean, I've got multiple devices, I've got multiple cables, I've got multiple charging stations, as it would be, and I find myself having to literally put the new lightning cable in my pocket to carry it around. So whether it's charging overnight, you have to charge it there, whether you bring it to the studio, whether you, wherever you take it, the automobile, you're always taking that one cable, and that really is a pain. So I've ordered 4 cables and, and 2 adapters, but they're not shipping until later this month. And there is some intelligence in that connector, as we've heard. So that's a little bit disheartening, but I do like the connector a lot, Mark. I really do. But enough about that. So
no, not enough about that, because I think the maps and these cables and the lack of them are really showing that Apple aren't on the ball, and which I think is just amazing. They must have, for the maps, they must have had people testing this. Didn't people say the maps are wrong? I mean, somebody must have fed up and said, look, we have a problem. The maps aren't as good as what we're replacing. And normally, if you replace something, it has to be at least as good as, if not better, because people are going to change how they use something. So I'm actually concerned that they didn't do their testing correctly, and they certainly didn't predict the demand on the cables. And I can understand it might take a while to make iPhones. They're complex things, but those cables aren't that complex. So I think they've made two mistakes with this announcement, two big mistakes.
And I don't disagree with that. I mean, you're right. They certainly did have this in beta test. We were alerted of this, of some of their sky views, on how they were taking pictures of different cities way early. So that's a valid point. That is a valid point. Ramping up production on the connector should not be as difficult as making the phone. I think they're hitting a lot of those. I believe the delivery time has come down a lot, but point taken that they could have done better on those two issues. But I'm gonna tell you what, the phone is awesome. So that's just my thought.
All right, so we'll change the subject. I'm going to tell you a story. All right, so we are here. We're running an awards ceremony. We have a prestigious event. I'm actually telling you about the Hugo Awards, and if you're not sure of what the Hugo Awards are, they are the sort of the science fiction Oscars of the world, and they recognise all the authors and people working in science fiction. So you can imagine the story, Vance. We're sitting there in this venue, everybody's having dinner and drinks, and we have given in our clips of our best work, and one of the people there is Neil Gaiman, and Neil is going to accept an award because of some of the great stuff that he has done. He's done a little work, for instance, on Doctor Who, as well as other things. And I think it was the Doctor. I've forgotten which one it was. The Doctor's wife or something. Anyway, so he's a big writer for Doctor Who. So as he goes up onto the stage, this event is being live streamed all around the world by Ustream, big provider of live streaming services. And as he goes up to start his speech, the live stream stops. So all these people, sci-fi geeks around the world who are watching this live stream, suddenly, can't see anything. And the geeks actually worked it out first. And I mean, you and I have chatted about it.
We have, and this is probably what they saw, Mark. They probably saw this little spinning thing saying, "What's going on? What's going on? We want to see the Hugo Awards."
And what happened was, Ustream use a bit of software which is called, make sure that I get called Vobile. And what Vobile does is to automatically scan for copyrighted material. And of course, even though these people had given the clips of their various works to be shown, so they had full use and allowed to use it, and they were probably just sort of the advertising clips, etc. Anyway, this Vobile software automatically said, copyrighted material being uploaded, turn off the stream. And Ustream found out, they worked out what it was, probably because, they had thousands of sci-fi fans around the world tweeting them about the problem, and they couldn't switch it off. They could not disable it. And so they had dark screens for the rest of the of the evening, which just goes to show that some of this automated technology is actually, defeating what the industry want, which is promotion of their work and their people. And the fact that Ustream couldn't instantly turn it off is very telling. What apparently should happen is that these type of events are meant to be whitelisted, so nothing can switch off the stream. And this didn't happen. And apparently the Ustream processes are being re-engineered, whatever that means, or fixed probably. But I thought that here we are. Here is the industry who owns the copyright, and even they can't show their material on the web.
That's pretty sad, Mark. And there was also an article that I'm going to follow going on here in the U.S. and it kind of streams into this. This was actually not even on our agenda for the day, but I just wanted to kind of let you know about this because that is kind of crazy that they can't even allow the awards winners to get their information out. There's something that we'll probably be talking about coming up later that's similar to this. But how about these patent laws and everything? How about if you've purchased something and you not be able to resell it because the patent holder or the creator of this device says they want their take on the second and third and fourth purchase if you put something on eBay. Now, on the 29th of this month, I just found out this morning, there will be some stuff going on here in the U.S. in the Supreme Court, actually. They're just going to hear cases about a guy that purchased his university books from another country because they were 1/4 of the price or something, used them up during university, and then resold them on eBay. Well, the copyright holder or the publisher sued the guy and said, hey, we want our the money that we were supposed to get by selling these books at quadruple the price in the States, and you can't do that. You've undercut us. And it's gone all the way to the Supreme Court. It's going to be very, very interesting. They said it could bring down sites like eBay, Craigslist, and some of the large swapping sites. Wow. But even more than that, it would prevent people from selling a great-grandparent's heirloom without notifying the person, let's say it's an artist, that made that. So it's going to be really interesting what happens. I think a lot of patent laws have gone just crazy. I know there's some automated stuff. I agree with you completely that I think that there needs to be a little bit of human intervention when it comes to these automated systems that sit there and run in the background, like at this award ceremony, and say, oh, we must stop because we are infringing on someone's patent. I get it. Patent is law throughout the world. But also, we need to use a little bit of common sense. So we're going to be following.
I agree. Yeah, I think there are. Well, I think that first of all, that's terrible. I mean, at most universities in the UK, the first thing that happens in the first couple of weeks is that there is a fair where all the students sell their old textbooks. I mean, it just is what happens over here, and it is. I mean, obviously, some of them buy new, some of them buy. From ex-students, and that is just very, very common. I mean, I think we should touch on the other story that we have, which is related to patents while we're on this. And this is, I find this difficult. I mean, patents are, you can understand, especially when you've had to put in a lot of research. I mean, I suppose you think about drugs and things like that. You don't want people just copying. But this one is to do with a manufacture of lights for video and film production. So here we are, we're sitting in a studio. I have lights all around me. And there is a company called Light Panels, which is owned by, unfortunately, a UK company. And by the way, this action is not being taken in the UK because I suspect it gets thrown out in the UK. But in the US, they are going to court to stop anybody else producing lights for the film and video industry that use LEDs, which is, it is just, there are LED lights for your house, there's LED lights for your decking, there's LED lights on boats, but they say that because they have put them into, do you want to play a little bit of that video clip? The guy introduces it quite well. That's assuming we don't get taken down for using it, of course.
Right, okay.
Wave DV. Today I'm coming to you with a special request. There is something going on right now that I fear may change the future of filmmaking as we know it. Now, if you've been in video or film for longer than 10 minutes, you know the importance of lighting. Lighting is something that people dedicate their entire lives to perfecting the craft. And if you had a chance to play around with the different lighting options out there, you might have come across Mole Richardson or Aria lights, maybe some Kino flows. You get a chance to play with some of the better quality out there. Now, if you don't have the cash for those and you haven't had the opportunity to save up your money to that extent, you might get something a little less expensive. Still something that can throw the light around, but again, not the build quality that you might expect on a multi-million-dollar film. Now, this has been the case for fluorescents, tungstens, and LED lights, but that may change because Light Panels is right now filing a 337 complaint with the United States International Trade Commission to block the import of LED lights and the sale of LED lights in the United States. What this means is they have a patent that basically can be interpreted that they own the right for all LED lights for video, film, and photography. Doesn't matter what the format is, if it's an LED light and it's used for film, video, or photography, they own the patent to it. Now, this is a very broad interpretation of that patent and something that most of us would say, well, that's an instant monopoly, that should not be allowed. Unfortunately, it is commonplace in the patent office for patents like this to be passed in areas where they think it is a need.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he explains it very well. So that means that if you have a 1x1, it's a 1 foot by 1 foot LED light, and you sell them for house lighting, not a problem.
Right.
But if you sell exactly the same light and say, oh, by the way, you can also use this for making video, you're not allowed to import it into the US.
Right. I mean, it's just nuts. I mean, we see a lot of craziness going on, all over the U.S., but this is certainly one that's really crazy. Now, we visited BVE, NAB, IBC, all of the trade shows that we've even talked on our weekly show, Studio Tech Live, about how the LED lights are just flooding studios, both for video, live recorded video, and also in the film industry. And light panels, I think, was one of the first, or the first, I guess, to come out with these 1x1 panels and some of the LED lights. But we have LED manufacturers just a few miles down the road from us that make a lot of the actual LEDs that go inside of the panels, even that light panels uses inside of those. It just seems like a bullying kind of a way to do a patent claim. And I'm just, I'm amazed that, that everyone is trying to do this stuff using patents. And it just blows me away. Really does.
Oh, I fail to see how the use of something can be patented. I mean, it is. Anyway, let's move on. It'll just get me going. Anyway, obviously, they're not applying in the UK, Europe. This is a US only thing, but that will could have big knock-on effects. I hope it doesn't go through.
Right. So one of the things that we talk about, some, Mark, is the creation. Now, this is kind of a little bit of a segue in that when you create something, you have the rights to that creation, but there's a lot of push towards making things yourself. So one of the cool technologies that I think we're following a lot is in the maker world, and that's 3D printing, or creating things very similar to printing ink on a two-dimensional world, that things are being printed in 3 dimensions. So you're actually building models of things by printing them. So last week we had a release of a new 3D printer. So it's the Replicator 2 from Markerbot Industries up in New York, here on the East Coast. And the Replicator 2 is available in 2 different varieties. One is a single extrusion, so you can do single color. And then there's also a dual extrusion model that you can do 2 colors simultaneously. It has 100 micron tolerance, which is a lot better than the last unit. The work table or print table is larger. It still will not do a full, let's just say, sheet of paper. I think of an iPad screen. It will not quite do that. It will do the length of the iPad, but not quite the width. It'll get about 6.1 inches wide, not quite the full 8 of an iPad. But the Replicator 2 is now a 4 to 6 week delay, and it's now instead of being wooden as the old Replicator was, it's got some aluminum, and actually had a little bit of hands-on with the Replicator 1. And really enjoy that, Mark. I think it's a neat thing. We talk about this a number of times here on the Techies because it is kind of cutting edge, bleeding edge technology. But I think we're both looking forward to the day that you need something, you download, instead of a manual of how to fix it, you download that widget's part and print that part and just insert it into whatever's broken. And that's some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. That's right. And how many times do you have something where something little breaks, some little bit of plastic breaks, and effectively you end up throwing it out because you can't repair it? So, to be able to pay $5 for the 3D image of it and then print it yourself and fix whatever it is, I think is going to be fantastic. And these are being used, apart from enthusiasts, and this is still aimed at enthusiasts, Although, what's the price of this? It's around $2,200 for one model and $2,700 for the other.
Exactly.
Something like that?
US 21.99 for the single extrusion model and $27.99 for the dual color unit. It's using a corn product that's I guess biodegradable and everything in the printing. But yeah, so $2,800, 4 to 6 weeks. And, it's not for everyone, obviously, but I mean, think back to the days when inkjet printers first came out. Everyone had dot matrix printers or whatever, and, they were kind of cutting edge. I don't think they were $49 at the Apple store at that point. It's just, it's interesting to see, what'll happen with the, with the technology. But, so.
Yeah, I think I'd probably pay close to that for my first laser printer. I mean, it probably wasn't far. But I think this is going to be great. But they're being used in to make commercial versions, to make things out of metal or aluminium or aluminum, as you would say. And you were telling me that they're even using these to build houses, to build sections of walls, etc., with all the services already already built in.
Yeah, so manufacturing, you think of homes that are manufactured off-site, ready-built homes. They're actually doing this where they're printing walls from the base all the way up. And as the printer prints the wall, it actually is inserting in all of the electrics and the mains and the plumbing. And when you stand the wall up, it's all built even down to the wallpaper or paint color on the interior, and whatever the product or look of the product that you want is on the exterior. Stand the wall up and it's done. So, get 4, 5, 6 walls and a roof, and all of a sudden you have a full house. So pretty neat stuff.
But one of the problems with these things, of course, is that you have the printer and you've got to get the 3D models. And I know there's actually been some problems with this new model, because I don't think that Markerbot have totally released it as open source, whereas their previous model was, and there was talk that some people were going to remove their 3D images. But putting that aside, you're going to want to, at some point, to be able to create a 3D image to print it, whether it's something you're trying to replicate or a part. And we came across something this week which has a neat way of using a Kinect from Microsoft, their Xbox thing.
Academy of Sciences in London, and we're going to apply a really modern piece of technology to something that's really quite old. Here we've got some experts from the Microsoft Research Labs in Cambridge who brought along a 3D scanner, and we're going to try and scan something really very special.
So this is a Kinect camera. Some of you might recognize this if you play a lot of computer games. It's actually a peripheral for the Xbox gaming platform. The basic idea is that you stick this above your TV, let's say, and it's able to capture your body and track your human skeleton.
That's how it's normally used. Why don't we just skip forward in it? And it's from the University of Nottingham. It's a great little bit of video, but it actually what they do at the Royal Institute, which is in London, a very famous place for scientists. You have to be a member, etc. They have Isaac Newton's death mask. So when he died, they put this. It was cast directly from his face, and they're very carefully bringing it out. And here's the guy from Microsoft, and basically he just moves by hand the Kinect around the death mask. You can see him just moving it by hand, and on the computer there, it's just taking all that those images, and creating a 3D rendered version of the death mask automatically. And what really got me is that he's doing this by hand. I could understand if it was on a frame and was being moved around, very, very, accurately. But that's not a product yet. It's just a technology demonstration. But I don't know how much a Kinect is. It's not a lot, but probably $100 peripheral, something like that.
Right.
Which you could use with the right bit of software to create 3D models for your 3D printer, and there it is. And I was really impressed with that.
Yeah, and I actually I have to agree completely. You know, that's one of the things that, you know, it does make, you know, it makes one wonder, how do I get those images, you know, or how do I get the 3D into the, you know, to get the product out and being able to create. I know that I'd mentioned, Mark, that I saw a very similar setup with just a digital camera, taking a series of 70 30 around a horizontal perimeter, but there again, still being handheld, just like you saw that. And, you know, he was even kind of moving that Kinect around. This is just taking a regular point and shoot camera, not anything big, taking 30 pictures around a circle, around a device. This happened to be a tennis shoe sitting on a piece of newspaper, and the piece of newspaper was used as reference for the words and letters. And then he moved up about a 20-degree angle and took 40 pictures at the top, but it was still very, very basic. And then imported those into the software, and the software rendered the entire shoe, athletic shoe, and looked just like that mask. So
Wow.
it's some neat stuff. It's really some neat stuff,
Yeah.
you know, that's coming. So
Yeah, absolutely, and it's and I think it won't be long. It'll be a few years, you know, within 2 or 3 years, and these things there won't be, and not everybody will have them, but we'll all know somebody who's got them, and that's the important thing.
Right. So let's, instead of going into the future, Mark, let's go into the past real quick. What were you doing 30 years ago yesterday?
Whoa,
Do you
30
remember?
years ago. Well, 30 years ago this week, what we're talking about is there was celebrating the CD. The good old CD is 30 years old this week. Now, they actually sort of launched it on, I think it was the 2nd of October in 82, though it wasn't until 1984 that I think they really came, you could actually buy a CD. And on the TED side, if you haven't come across TED, go and find it. TED has some fantastic videos, insights into many aspects, and not just technology, but fantastic website. But they actually have some clips taken back in 1984 of a guy from Sony demonstrating the the CD and talking about the CD and how it was only on one side, etc. I think they said that the first CD that was available, I can't remember, was it Billy Joel's? Was it 52nd Street? Was that Billy Joel? But that was one of the first. But that wasn't the first I bought. The first CD I bought, and I don't think there was much of a choice. I think there were about 10 CDs available when I bought my first CD, was actually Dire Straits' Brother in Arms.
Right, and you actually asked me that yesterday, you know, and it took me a second, but I know that was one of the first 5 that I owned as well, and I was gonna walk into my archive and pick that up. I just forgot to grab it, but I still do have that CD that was brand new, and it was revolutionary. I mean, at the time, you know, everyone was using, you know, cassette tapes, albums, you know, and you know, this newfangled thing that you know, laser read, and you had to put in the correct way, is you know, was very, very cutting edge, if you will. So that was a great CD by Dire Straits. So
I think the CD player was £300. That's $500 30 years ago. So I don't know what that translates to today. Probably 4 or 5 times exact amount. But it was. I mean, and you could say that the CD is on the way out. I have bought CDs in the last year. There's something just about having it. And I'm probably a little bit old-fashioned like that, but I suspect it won't be too long, and the CD will disappear. So it hasn't had that long a life, but it did bring revolution to the industry because it was digital, and it has caused, you know, depending which side of the argument you're on, it's either, you know, caused a lot of problems or it's really opened a lot of things up.
Right. So we're going to skip forward 30 years really quickly again, because you know, Mark, my personality is more of the futurist. I like the things that are happening now and in the future. I don't look back a lot on yesterday or the past. And you know, hey, that could be a pro, could be a con. But anyway, that's just the way I am. So one of the things that caught my eye Kickstarter is a real big thing now. So companies, instead of getting angel investors, are now putting out their ideas, and their ideas are getting funded, whether they're actually getting crowdsourced or tested by peers. It's almost a gigantic worldwide peer review. And so if you have an idea, you can put it up to Kickstarter and see if someone will pay for that. And this is something that I found, Mark, was really, really, really interesting. So this is a device that's on Kickstarter. The first thing we'll see from this is that they were looking for a goal of $150,000 US dollars, and as of still having 27 days left, they've kind of hit that goal and surpassed it a little bit by going to $1.24 million with 8,000 backers. Now, this is a $149 device, and you ask, well, what does this thing do? Well, the bottom line is, and I know that a lot of us fumble around with keys and everything. I have a touchpad keyless entry on most of the doors at my home that allows me to not have the keys and actually walk up and put a 4-digit code in, and the deadbolt opens up. I walk in, and then I can close the deadbolt with the normal turn key on the inside as normal. But what it does is I can change the code, I can give temporary codes, I can do things like that for house guests or visitors, family, whatever, and still feel secure and not have to worry about, oh, here's a key, don't lose it, they lose it, et cetera, et cetera. So this Lockitron takes that one step forward, a little bit further than that, and this device mounts on the inside of the door. And we'll take a look at this, and I'll see, maybe we'll bring this up just a little bit as we talk over it.
Lets you lock or unlock your door from your phone. Lockitron unlocks your door for you. You can share access to your door with anyone, anywhere, instantly. You can control Lockitron from anywhere in the world. Last year, we released the world's first commercially available internet-connected door lock that worked with any phone. News outlets like the New York Times, Popular Science, and Reader's Digest raved about Lockitron. Since then, we've been hard at work to make a newer, smarter version of Lockitron. The new Lockitron isn't a door lock. It installs on the inside of the door, so renters can use it too. You can now Airbnb your place when you're out of town. Lockitron lets your guests in for you. You can easily extend their stay and make sure the door is locked on their way out. Lockitron will send you a message when someone unlocks the door, even if they use a key. If you run, you don't need to take a key with you. Lockitron works with any phone on the market. It will even work with text messages. Lockitron is the perfect solution.
So Mark, what do you think about that? Even that phone that you have, that you showed us a little bit ago on the far right there, you can even use that phone.
Even with that phone. No, that is interesting. The UK locks are very different to US locks, so I'm not quite sure.
Well, see what? So look, so you just loosen the screws, you put this thing right behind it, you tighten the screws back up, and then you snap this thing on, and it just turns it like you turn. Turn it, quarter turn, whatever.
But we have a different. I think it's a great idea, though. I do. I like it. So you'll have to let me know when you order one, and we'll have to check it out.
Right. No, I definitely am going to get one of those. I think it's the neatest thing in the world to even know if someone opens your door with a key. You even know by it sending you a message. Now, one of the other things that I've had for some time that kind of is in line with this, Mark, is the thermostat made by Nest. Nest released a new thermostat this week that kind of is version 2.0. It's a little thinner. I have one of these I have a couple of zones. Actually, I have about 5 zones in my house with central heating and air conditioning, and this is controlled via software as well from anywhere in the world. Actually, when I was at your studio in the UK, I was able to monitor my central heating and air conditioning system through the Nest via my iPhone app, and see exactly what the system was doing. And the good thing about this unit is if you don't walk by it, it has a proximity sensor on the front of it. And if you don't walk in front of the unit for some time, it goes into an automatic vacation mode or energy saving mode, and it'll actually turn the energy usage down for you, and it learns. It really does a good job of learning. So you can adjust it via the app or via the actual thermostat, and it will learn your habits of what you like and will help you save energy. So the Nest thermostat is brand new. It's a little expensive, just shy of $300. It's super easy to install, but the application is amazing for the use on that Nest. So.
And an ex-Apple guy, I think, isn't it, behind Nest?
It is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So that's where it gets a lot of its sleekness. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it does look really good. I'm just not sure I can bring myself to spend $300 on a thermostat, but it does look very good.
Well, okay. All right. You have a point there, but it works great. It works really, really, really good. So just know that. So anyway, well, Mark, we had a few other things to talk about. Do you want to hit on anything else, or?
Well, I think it's been such a great start to season 2. I think we should leave it there. I have really enjoyed it. It's fun just being able to talk about so many general things in the tech world. We normally spend our time, talking particularly about studio technology, which is fantastic as well. But it's nice to broaden out from time to time. So, as always, Vance, thanks for inviting me.
Well, thanks, Mark, for being here. And as Mark mentioned, you can catch us on Fridays live with Studio Tech Live, where we do talk about how to get videos on the internet. Studio Tech is a series of videos that talk about technology and devices and methods of getting videos and everything about the web video. So Studio Tech, you can catch that. You can catch a live version of it on Fridays, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK. You can follow Mark at TTFN TV on Twitter. And you can follow me at Vance Willis. We would encourage everyone to continue to watch the Techies. We will have a lot of more episodes coming, and we will try to get these up on a regular basis. So everyone, Mark, thanks for being here, and everyone, thanks for watching, and we will see you very soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.